Hi, everyone. I am Emily McQuiggan, the teen programmer at Fredricksen Library, and today we're here for another Quarantine Talk. I am joined today by Deanne Williamson and Jess Woolridge, and we're going to start the episode off with a little quiz. So let me get my screen sharing up for you. All right,
I'm ready.
So I found this quiz on LitHub. And it's, can you guess these classic novels from their Library of Congress subject headings?
Oh, no.
So, there are two main systems of cataloging. There's the Dewey Decimal System and the Library of Congress. And Jess here used to be a cataloger, so she knows a lot more about it than I do. But basically,
Library of Congress.
Yeah, we don't really use that very often in public libraries. But basically, they have subject headings to help catalog where all the books are. So you can see some examples here of kind of what they look like. And what we're going to do is I pulled out, that list there was like 75. We're not going to do all those.
Oh, wow.
I just pulled out a couple that I thought you guys might be familiar with.
Okay.
And I'm going to read you the subject headings, and then you're going to decide from this list which one you think it is. So we'll just get started. We might not do all of them. We're just going to see how it goes. And we'll see how you guys do.
All right.
All right. So our first one, the headings are social classes fiction, young women fiction, courtship fiction, sisters fiction, England fiction, domestic fiction, and love stories.
I guess it would be Pride and Prejudice.
That was my first thought.
Yeah.
Yep, that was Pride and Prejudice. So if you are a Jane Austen fan, that is one of the ways you could look it up in the Library of Congress. All right, next we have this is a short one. Trials, fiction, allegories. Just two subject headings for that one. Trials, fiction, and allegories.
Trials and allegories. Trials as in like judicial?
Or like trials.
I can't say anything else. Take a look at the list and see if anything makes sense.
Are we looking at Kafka?
We are looking at Kafka. So that one.
But I had a visit from my Leopold.
Oh.
We'll see if he'll come into the camera then when he comes over closer.
All right. So next is vampires in literature, vampires fiction, Transylvania (Romania) fiction, Whitby England fiction, psychological fiction, and horror tales.
I think we know that one.
I think we know this one too.
Deanne, what is it?
Is it Dracula?
It is Dracula. See, I told you this was easier than you'd thought.
Okay, good.
When it's the subject headings, I was thinking that it was going to be the actual classification numbers.
Oh, no, the numbers are too hard.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even do that with Dewey for you guys.
I could know a few from shelving, but not everything.
All right. So our next one is another short one.
Okay.
It's murder-Kansas-case studies.
Kansas.
It's got to be in cold blood.
It is in cold blood.
Mm.
So that's a famous true crime book. If any of you out there have not read it, it
Absolutely.
is very interesting.
In a couple days, it is that good. I highly recommend it. Maybe after Christmas, but
not really a feel good.
No,
good. Not really a feel good. And speaking of things that aren't really feel good, depression, mental fiction, women college students - suicidal behavior fiction, autobiographical fiction, and psychological fiction. So do any of these fit?
That's got to be Sylvia.
Yeah. Yeah, that's our girl Sylvia.
We love her subject heading.
We do. All right, so let's take a look. All right, here's one that I think all of you out there will get pretty quickly.
Okay.
So it starts with traffic accidents fiction, married women fiction, first loves fiction, rich people fiction, mistresses fiction, revenge fiction, Long Island, New York fiction.
I mean,
And it's a book that pretty much all of our high schoolers have had to read.
is it The Great Gatsby?
It is The Great Gatsby.
I remember in high school, we watched the original movie. I think it was the first one. And for some reason, the traffic accident scene, I still remember it being really, like, we all thought it was hysterical because you could tell that it was like a mannequin.
Oh, yeah.
And we just thought that part was funny.
Yeah. I just remember him floating in the pool at the end.
Yeah.
That was a very,
definitely a strange one.
I thought the Baz Luhrmann one with Leonardo DiCaprio that came out a couple years ago was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't seen the movie yet, you probably recognize the GIF of Leo holding the champagne glass and celebrating with the fireworks going on behind him. All right, so this one, I think this one's going to be a little trickier because there's a couple could be.
Okay.
So totalitarianism fiction, London, England fiction, political fiction, dystopias.
I can't be Orwell?
Dan, what do you think?
That was my first thought.
Yep, you guys got it right away.
Okay.
A long time since I read that.
Me too. I think that was, well.
London. That's England, right?
Yeah, I had to do a doubt. I was like, I think so. It's been a long time.
Okay. So next one. State-sponsored terrorism fiction, totalitarianism fiction, book burning fiction, censorship fiction, political fiction, satire, science fiction.
I could make a guess. I don't want to keep guessing if
Guess away.
You know more probably than I do.
I'm going to say Bradbury.
You're right. It's the book burning that got to
It was the book burning that,
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's just do one more.
Okay.
Let me find a good one.
There are a few I haven't read those, so I don't.
Yeah, me too.
All right, so we're going to do one then that won't be too hard.
Okay.
So there's a lot of titles for this one, or a lot of subject headings. Governesses fiction, fathers and daughters fiction, mentally ill women fiction, charity schools fiction, married people fiction, country homes fiction, young women fiction, orphans fiction, England fiction, buildings romance, and love stories.
That was a lot.
It was a lot.
I'm thinking it may be my favorite book, Jane Eyre.
It is Jane Eyre.
That was what I was thinking.
Yep. All right, so
I had one. It's still my favorite novel to this day.
It's a very good one. And I liked the movie that came out a couple years ago. They did a good job with it. So if you at home want to take this little quiz on your own, you can go to LitHub and they have it there. They've got quite a few of these you can see, and you just highlight for the correct answer.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so there's a lot of fun ones. Like I said, I just pulled ones that I thought most of us here would have read.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. So, Deanne, would you like to go first and tell us what you've been up to lately?
Sure. Well, three of them are things that I've watched. And the first one I just watched 2 nights ago. I watched The Prom on Netflix. And it was a Broadway show that I really wanted to see before it closed, but I never got to. So as soon as I saw they were making the Netflix movie, I was really excited about it. There's a bit of controversy around it because of James Corden's character, because he plays a gay man, but he is not a gay man. And so there's been a lot of controversy around that. So just, remember that if you watch it. But that aside, I loved it. I thought the music was fantastic. The cast is great. The storyline is great. I mean, I'm not like an emotional kind of person who cries at movies or shows or whatever, but I like teared up hardcore at the end. There's just a lot of really cool things in it, and I already plan on listening to the original Broadway soundtrack and then the new one, probably back to back.
Ooh, that
But
sounds
yeah,
fun.
it was really good. It's the storyline, if you're not familiar with it, is a girl who she wants to take her girlfriend to prom, and she lives in a very small town and conservative. And oh, I think my TV just turned on. Hold on. I don't know why that just did. Okay, I was wondering what that sound was. So they basically threatened to cancel the prom. And because she wants to take her girlfriend. So there's all these Broadway stars that come to her aid and try to help the situation. There's a lot going on in there, but yeah, it's a good movie with good music. And yeah, so I recommend if you need something a little bit like happy.
I'll have to check that out. That sounds so good.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I was really hoping they would have the Broadway star in the movie, but she wasn't in it. Because she's amazing. I was kind of hoping for that. So it did it again. It's just my TV is like, it's like, what's happening? All right, I just turned power off instead of muted. It's happening. The second thing is another thing that I watched, and oh gosh, now everything's turning on. Goodness gracious. Okay. Another thing that I watched is Dash and Lily on Netflix, which is based off of the book. I think it's just called Dash and Lily's Book of Dares, I think is the name of that. It came out a long, long time ago, probably like 10 years ago now, maybe. And it's a Netflix series. So there's like 10 episodes. They're super short. I loved it. It's very lighthearted, but there's a lot of like cool moments in it. Basically, this girl, she's a little bit of a she's a little bit introverted and quirky, and she decides to leave this book of dares in this bookstore, and then this boy finds it, and they sort of like connect through the book, and they never meet they don't meet in person for a long time, and they have all these dares back and forth. So it's just really cool. It's a really, fun. I watched it in like a night, so it was great, and I really recommend it. I haven't read the book in a long time, so I kind of want to reread that one to see how close it is. But yeah, that's another good one that I've watched. Another thing, in case you need an uplifting, silly thing to watch, is actually on Instagram. It is an account called Advent. Now, this is a funny word, but it's Carolander. It's the word Carol and then NDER, like calendar, Advent calendar. So basically, there's this duo comedians that they release every single day leading up to Christmas, a funny, like minute-long song. And they're usually ridiculous, and they're usually like, the most weird concepts, but they're hilarious. And every day I look forward to their next one that they put out. They did it last year, and then this is their second year. So like they released a song about weighted blankets, and it's just ridiculous and funny. And yeah, it's just something to look forward to, and they're all on there, so you can kind of scroll back and listen to all the old ones. And then the last thing is a book that I read, which is called, another thing with a strange name, but it's autobiography with the
Oh,
word
I've
boy
heard
in the
good things
middle.
about that one.
I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. It was kind of one of those random ones that I just pulled off the shelf and was like, that looks good. And it has a relationship between two people, and one is very hardcore in the, or like very conservative Mormon, and then one is a little bit more liberal in his upbringing. So it kind of has that religious ties as part of the storyline, which I thought was really interesting, because it wasn't bashing any type of religion. It wasn't like I'm getting out of it and I'm living my life. Like I don't know. It kind of portrays it in a positive light too. So yeah, I really recommend that one. I love the characters, and yeah, it was a good one.
Excellent. Thank you, Deanne.
Sorry about all my TV things. I think everything's turned off. I don't know what's
You know,
happening.
it's just part of filming from home is sometimes things are
I
gonna
know.
happen.
Yeah. I think we're good.
Yep. Jess, do you want to share anything with us?
I can, yeah, I know the only reason I brought up Leopold is because you and I talked earlier today about maybe sharing our feline friends from home,
Yeah.
but now he's just kind of hanging out on the bed here, but I don't know if you can see him up there.
Oh, there's Leopold.
Got his head turned.
He's
He's a
Really
little
shy.
camera shy.
Yeah.
he's got stuff to do. So yeah, my stuff has been, I have two books kind of going on right now. And I started The Night Circus, which is tremendous fun. It's kind of a magical realism book about two magicians that are kind of they grow up as children, and they're being trained to be I guess like adversaries. There's a challenge. It's hard to explain it. It takes place like in New York and London, and it's kind of gripping. So I'm into that one right now, and I feel really bad because I started the Golden Compass and it wasn't quite doing it for me, but I know how much you love it, Emily. So, and I think that's our next book club book for the library book club. So I'm actually I'm just going to purchase myself a copy so I can read it slowly, and then I'll donate it to the library afterwards. And so I'm going to get that going because I really want to read that whole series. I've heard such great things about it. And then I'm looking at my little notes here. What I've been sucked into watching is not, I mean, teens could definitely watch it, but Matt started watching The Americans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's on Netflix or Amazon. I can't remember.
I think it's on Prime.
Yeah, it is on Prime. Yeah.
And we also have the DVDs at the library. So if you are a teen out there interested, you can.
I definitely think it's something our older teens could watch.
And
there
are teens in it. And I think, I don't know how far you are, Jess, but their oldest daughter, her storyline is like one of my favorite, like,
oh wow,
young person storylines in any show ever. I think she has an amazing journey. So
okay, so now I'm a little bit more committed now that you like it so much, because just a background, the parents are KGB operatives, and they're trained so well to fit into American culture during the Cold War. And at first I thought, it's okay. And now I'm sucked in, and we fall asleep watching it because we don't want to turn it off. So that's how sucked in we got to that one. And I watched my first Bruce Lee film last night.
Oh.
I have never seen one. And, we started watching it in the car because we got stuck in that I-83 North traffic jam last night because we were just going up to try to see like the whole Saturn display but it was too cloudy to see it, but we had to take I-83 North to drive to the lookout that we wanted to see, not knowing that the backup was going to be as bad as it was. We were probably there for half an hour. and I can't remember how we got started with a Bruce Lee film. So we were completely stopped. Everybody was in park. So we set up the Bruce Lee film on the phone and sat there while we were stopped. And then I couldn't wait to get home and finish watching it. So we watched Fist of Fury. So that was pretty exciting. I just didn't realize how intense he was. And yeah, and now I'm baking. So I learned how to make sand tarts for the very first time.
Oh,
Oh,
fun.
that's
Yeah.
fun.
Well, they were a little bit of a disappointment for me, although Matt loves them. So they were so crispy. And I got them right after my first couple batches because they're supposed to be really crispy and you snap them in half with the sprinkles.
Mm.
But they're not, I like soft, gooey, chocolatey, fudgy cookies. So
Yeah.
I finally found a cookie to bake that I won't eat. So, yeah.
There
Yeah,
you
so
go.
that's about it for me, other than doing, my drive-by Christmases this year in solidarity with everybody. I'm not seeing my grown children this year for
Wow.
Christmas. It's the first time now, because Hannah turned 27 on December 10th. So first time in 27 years, I have not been with
Wow.
my children for Christmas. So we did drive-by holidays. Everybody's kind of quarantining and doing their own quiet thing. I did the same with my sister. So we did drive-by, stayed outside, and we exchanged gifts in the back of the car. And so it's going to be a very quiet Christmas this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just read all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, read and bake.
Read and
Read and
bake.
bake. That'll be it. So that's what's going on here.
Yeah. And if anybody out there, if you also like to bake, the library recently released a PDF of all of, it's like a ton of cookie recipes. So our marketing team asked people to submit their favorite cookie recipes, and they put together this really nice booklet. I know there's some available at the library that are printed out, or you can just go to the website and get the PDF. And they look amazing. If I was a person who liked to bake, I would definitely be baking some of these because they look delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, if you're looking for some quiet Christmas activities.
Hmm.
So thanks, Jess.
Mhm.
So the first thing I want to share is, I don't know how well it works to see. It's a graphic novel series called
Oh, cool.
Fence. It's by C.S. Pacat, and Joanna the Mad is the name of the illustrator, which I think is a fabulous name for an illustrator. But it's about it's a graphic novel series. So far, I've read the first 4 volumes, and I don't know if the 5th is out yet, but it's about a boys' school where they fence. So fencing is like a sword fighting sport kind of thing. And honestly, I'm not a sports person. I have very little interest in sports. I was kind of reluctant to read this one, but it was on a lot of lists of recommendations. So I was like, you know what, let's give it a try. I was immediately sucked in. It's so good. It's got a great cast of characters, and the tensions between the 2 main characters are really compelling. They're kind of rivals for the fencing, and seeing them kind of like grow as rivals, and then they're also roommates and they're becoming friends, and it's really great. So definitely recommend that one. I know we've got at least the first one at the library. And again, that was called Fence, and the author is C.S. Pacat.
Cool.
Pacat, I'm not really sure how to pronounce it, to be honest. The next thing I want to talk about is The Mandalorian. So I won't give any spoilers, but you might know it as the Baby Yoda show. Here's my Baby Yoda.
Oh.
It's hanging out.
I'm hoping that there's going to be a Baby Yoda under my Christmas when I wake up on Christmas morning. Yeah.
So The Mandalorian, it just wrapped up its 2nd season, and it was pretty good. I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it had a lot of good stuff in it, a lot of really great women characters, which is always something that I am a big fan of. My one complaint is that there's not enough Baby Yoda. you know, but like, I don't know if there could be enough for me to be satisfied. So to kind of go along with that, in this season, there's a scene where Baby Yoda eats this like blue cookie. And there's a YouTube channel called Binging with Babish, where he recreates TV food. And so he recreated this blue cookie, and he had on the director of The Mandalorian, Jon Favreau, to like give his official blessing to the recipe. And so they did two versions. They did like a complicated, fancy version for people who like to bake and are very talented. And then they did a simpler one that kids can do. And the director has given it his blessing and said, this is the official recipe for Baby Yoda's blue cookie.
What flavor would that be?
So they made theirs like blue raspberry flavored, but my husband and I, we bought some from a local person who made them, and ours were vanilla flavored because that's more what I want.
I don't think I'd want a blue raspberry.
No, but so I think you could probably make it whatever flavor you wanted. He said the simpler cookies were basically just like kind of like a sugar cookie Nilla wafer kind of thing. So that was really fun to watch. I love that the director went on it. It's always really fun to hear from the people who make the shows. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the LeVar Burton's Reads podcast. I don't know if any of you guys have listened to that, but so LeVar Burton, if you're unaware, he was the host of Reading Rainbow. He was on Star Trek, all around fabulous guy. He was, I'm sure, as well as Deanne, who's a big part of our childhoods. And so now he has a podcast where he reads short stories. And it's very soothing. You know, he's got a wonderful voice. He picks really great stories. They're all stories that he himself picks because he loves them. So it's like a huge range of authors. And so during our book club sessions for the library here, what we've been doing is we've been listening to short stories during the book club because it's hard to find time to read, and we get that. So we just listen to short stories. We'll listen for like 45 minutes and then we'll chat for a little while. So last week we started on the LeVar Burton podcast, and it was really great. It was really fun, and it was nice at the end. He gives a little bit of commentary about his thoughts on it. So I highly recommend it if you're looking for short stories. They're not all, I don't know if they would all be something that teens, if you would be interested in all of them, but they do on his website where he lists the episodes, he does put in content warnings. So like if you're looking for something that doesn't have violence in it, you can make sure that there's no violence. He'll always have the content warning there.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. So it was the
cool.
LeVar Burton podcast. And then I've got two more things because apparently I've been doing more than I thought I was. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was the TV show Shadowhunters. Have either of you heard of the Shadowhunters series?
The only thing I know about it is the ship that came out of it. Is that am I thinking of the right thing? The two characters that everyone shipped together?
I don't know which two.
It was maybe I'm thinking of a different show. I actually don't know their real names because I only know their ship name.
What's the ship name?
Which is Malik.
Yes, that is Shadowhunters. You are correct.
That's the only thing I know about it.
Okay, so Shadowhunters, it started as a series of novels by Cassandra Clare.
I did not know that.
And interestingly, these novels started as Harry Potter fan fiction. And then, yeah, it's kind of a wild story. I don't know all of it. We don't have time to unpack all of it. Other people have done a good job, but it became the Shadowhunters series. It's very long. We have all of them at the library if you're interested. They're pretty good if you're a fan of Harry Potter, and if you're a fan of like Twilight, it's kind of got like the same vibes as that. But it's about this girl, and she finds out that she's part of a like magical heritage of like, they're called Shadowhunters, and they fight like, you know, the demons and the werewolves and the vampires and all that stuff. So excited about her journey. And they made it into a TV show. And it is a very fun TV show to watch. I wouldn't say that it's like high quality. It's not like high art. But if you're looking for something fun and kind of silly that you can watch, especially I've been watching it with a friend. We call each other and we talk while we watch it. So it's really a fun thing to do something like that with, because there's a lot that you can kind of like, I don't want to say make fun of, but you can make a lot of comments about it while you're watching, and it's a lot of fun. And like Deanne said, there's the excellent ship of Magnus and Alec, which,
that's so nice. Yeah.
you know, we all just really want Magnus and Alec to be together. So it's great. It's a lot of fun.
Cool.
And
yeah,
I've been watching
the only
it on
thing I know
Hulu.
about it.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I wasn't sure if you were gonna get into like the supernatural stuff, like the TV show Supernatural and their famous ship of Destiel, which again we do not have time to unpack.
All about that a couple years ago when we did our supernatural event at the library, and I don't watch it, so I opened the floor and I said, "Go ahead," and they told me all about it. So.
Well, if you out there have a favorite ship that you want to talk about, leave a message in the comments and we'll investigate it and, you know, let you know what we think. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is a TV show called Infinity Train. So I've been watching on HBO. I think it was originally on Cartoon Network. It's a animated show. I think it's perfect for teens. There's 3 seasons, so I just watched the most recent season, and each season has a different protagonist, but it's about a train that is infinite, as you can probably guess from the title. But there's all kinds of stuff going on, like there's people who go on the train, and the train is kind of supposed to like teach them lessons, kind of. I'm not really doing it justice explaining it, but it's a beautifully animated series. The characters are all really well done. And like I said, they have a different protagonist for each season, so you don't feel too stagnated. But like you still get to see kind of like side characters will pop up. Like there's this one cat who we see through all 3 seasons. She'll come in at various times and you're like, oh, there's the cat. I recognize her. So definitely recommend that. And like I said, I think it's perfect for teens. It's got some really interesting themes. And I think a lot of people who worked on it, if I'm not, I might be incorrect here, but I think a lot of them also worked on things like Adventure Time and Steven Universe. So I think if you like those kind of shows, it's probably one that you want to check out. Yeah. So that's all I have. Is there anything else either of you wanted to share?
I don't think so.
So this is our last show of 2020, believe it or not. It has been quite a year, and I'm so glad that we've gotten to do all these quarantine talks together. We'll be continuing them throughout the spring, you know, until we can definitely safely gather again, which will hopefully be late spring, early summer. And then who knows, maybe we'll rename it and do some other kind of show that we can have you guys participate in person.
I love it.
Yeah, we'll see what 2021 brings us, but
hopefully good things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. So happy New Year, everyone. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you again at the library soon.
Yeah.
All right. Good night.
Good night.